If you're looking to make a killer old fashioned, might I suggest Elijah Craig? Hey Whiskey Outpost, it's Chris. How you doing? I am down here in our recording studio coming to you to talk about National Bourbon Heritage Month. Every day we're talking about a new pour, we're talking about a new theme. You saw the list of themes, and today we're going to tackle the age-old question, hey, I got an old-fashioned, what should I use? So before we talked about what we would want to use in an not an old-fashioned, that's what we're talking about today. Talking about what we would use for a whiskey sour, and I brought up Woodford Reserve, and actually, I still have that bottle on the table, and that's the one we used. So Woodford Reserve is still a perfectly valid answer to this question if you're making an old-fashioned. You could also use Buffalo Trace, especially now that it's come down in price. I would caution you, I don't know that it's going to really bring a big punch to the party, but you can use it. When I'm making an old-fashioned, I want something that's going to stand up to the bitters. I want something that's going to have its own flavors in addition to the syrup and that kind of thing, especially if you want to smoke them. I think you want a bourbon that's going to complement that. So you want something that's going to stand up and say, hey, I'm still here. That's where Woodford Reserve comes in wonderfully. It's dark. It still has a flavor. It's sweet, so it will go with some of the syrups. I think it's great for any cocktail. So then I was trying to think outside the box just a little bit, and I started thinking to myself, what would I want to mix into an old-fashioned? And that's where I found my trusty bottle, my surprisingly almost empty bottle of Elijah Craig. So the small batch on this is pretty good. It's 94 proof, so it's not going to be super hot. And I think some people want that in their own fashions, and if so, awesome, go for it. I still want something that's going to play nicely with the other flavors. It's not going to get lost, but it's not going to bully everybody either. And so that's where I think I like this a lot. So let's give it a shot. If you've not had Elijah Craig, it is flipping everywhere. And most places I know actually end up having like a store pick of it. And some of those are like super amazing. But they're store picks. So sometimes you get ones that are a little off profile or a lot off profile. But yeah, I really think that this is one of those bourbons you can find anywhere for cheap. So you're not really going to be terribly upset by putting it in a cocktail with mixers. Anyway, going in for the aroma check. It smells like bourbon. I get oak. I get a lot of jar. I mean, it smells like bourbon. It's another one of those ones that that really does just kind of smell like you would expect bourbon. Little hints of sweetness, sugar, vanilla, that kind of thing. Let's go for a taste. And so the flavor on this is just so full. Like, it's hard, like, my front, mid, and back palate kind of all got hit by different things all at once. So I'm actually trying to organize my thoughts. I haven't drank from this bottle in a while. It's definitely proofy and drinks bigger than the 94. That could also be because this bottle's been open for a while. There is oak. There is definitely a lot of sweetness on that. A lot of vanilla, not so much cinnamon. It drinks sweeter than I remember, and I bet probably you drink, you remember too from when you were drinking it. It's not a toasted barrel, so there's not a lot of extra things going on. But just in terms of the pure corn mash bill, and you're going to ask me what the mash bill is, and I would tell you on any other day I would remember, because I've been to the distillery and I've actually bottled my own bottle of this at like stupidly high proof, which is probably why I remember this being sweeter than what I've had most recently, because I've been drinking from the X batch bottle. But anyway, all I'm saying is that if you were to take this, what's left of my Glencairn, pour in a little bit more, add some syrup and some bitters, well, you've got yourself a very fine old-fashioned. That was a lot of words it took me to get that concept out, but I think it's important. So again, there are a number of things that you can choose for an old-fashioned, and if your collection looks anything like mine does, you've got a lot of options. If I were you, I would go with something that I'm not afraid of pouring in quantities into a glass and mixing other things, right? The minute it's cocktail, you're going to lose some of the pure flavor of the drink. That's just because you're mixing with other things. So do you mind that you did that? With the price, I can get Elijah Craig. I'm not worried about that. Do I think it's going to harmonize? You're also looking for something that will harmonize with other flavors. So the syrup, the butters. I think you've got all of that here. I think you do this, you're going to make yourself a fine old fashioned. And then you could say it's an Elijah Craig old fashioned, which actually sounds kind of cool. Anyway, thank you. Whiskey Outpost has been another great National Bourbon Heritage Month post. I will see you tomorrow.